Because school's like priority to me. School's been number one for a long time. Work is just side. It keeps me busy. Keeps me busy. That's really what it is. Something to put on my resume. Like, it just keeps me busy and it keeps me still focused, like work, school, work, school. I don't have no idle time to really dwell on like things that are not important. So juggling those two, it's kind of difficult because it takes away from my study time. And then at home responsibilities, like I also have to input. Once my dad had the stroke, it kind of like, it put a hold on a lot of stuff. Like, I had to drop courses at a point in time. I failed certain courses because I didn't know the deadline to drop it. So certain courses that I dropped, and then him, and it's a lot. But I don't know. I made it through it. Some of the qualities and strengths I possess is, I think I'm just ambitious. Like, I'm goal oriented. So ambitious, goal oriented, persistent, focused, and I think I have intellect. Wisdom. I'm trying to gain more wisdom, more knowledge. That's the biggest thing to me. Every class I've been going to for like the past year has nothing but like the black male rate in those classrooms. They're not there. It makes me kind of smile sometimes. Like, I sit down, I just look around the room like I'm the only black male in here. It kind of sets I feel like it sets like it puts like this positive outlook. Because when I go in, I'm not goofy, I'm not any of that. I'm like, work, go, work, go, work, go. So it puts this like, when they see me, I want them to see like, okay, you know, he can be serious, he can be this and that. Because you have to be a little more serious and cautious due to that. Regardless of your skin, ethnicity, whatever they want to go by nowadays, we all the same. Like, so I kind of like it, honestly. I don't mind it, but it is like that like distinction. Because you'll walk into the classroom and it's like, what are you doing in statistics? Why do you have a better grade than me in statistics? It's weird, but you know. Up to this point, I would say study habits, that's the number one achievement. Meeting my transferable college courses, meeting the criteria for that, getting a B, an A in accounting and stuff like that. And the fact that graduation's around the corner, my AAs is right down, you know, a few months away. So I'm happy that the fact that I reached this point. I have my transferable courses, I'm able to transfer, that's the greatest achievement to me. The fact of still being able to be here, because I started off with a lot of people, and I see a lot of people just drift off. And you know, the fact of still being here, and pursuing what I said I was gonna do.
I was married. I am a single parent of 4 daughters, and so unfortunately, when I got married, I didn't have an education. I didn't finish my schooling, and so invested my life into that, and unfortunately, it ended in domestic violence. And so I got out of that situation, and now having my daughters, I have to invest in my future and their future. So I'm hoping to be a good example for them and just teach them that, you know, you have to be independent, and no matter what happens in life, you've got to just keep moving forward. You know, PCC has been really great. There has been some aspects of being a single parent that I really can't participate in a lot of the things that I would like to. The tutoring, especially because I'm only here 2 days out of the week, and I try to schedule it so that I'm here from morning to night. And it's challenging because any extra time that I have really goes to my children and, you know, functions that they need to be at, doctor's appointments, my own things, you know, caring for my grandmother. And so it's challenging just in the fact that I would love to participate in a lot more things on campus, but like I have a family that I need to attend, and so that's challenging, and some people don't understand that. And so I was thinking of, I have brought it up before, where maybe like a child care that would be appropriate for, you know, parents who are picking up kids but, you know, have to come right back to school, something on campus that would be able to be kind of like a study hall for them as well, because there's always homework. So also, and being able to be on the college campus might even motivate them to want to come to school. And so if they see parents doing it, well, I believe that they're more likely to follow kind of in the footsteps and have like an introduction to college, so that when they do graduate, it's not a shock and afraid of like, I don't know what to do, which is kind of what happened to me. So I think that the earlier you introduce things to children, the better and easier it would be for them and more comfortable to have those goals as well. Being in the situation that I have been in and now seeing life through different eyes, I've gotten a second chance at life. And so I'm just living kind of like for the first time. And so through that, I'm able to show my daughters that regardless of the situation, no matter what, even if we fall, we're going to have to get back up and keep moving forward. And there's always good in everything. So it was actually a blessing in disguise for me. And I just, like I say, I'm living life like for the first time. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm loving it.
I honestly wish that I had come to PCC before going to like a university. But back then it was like, oh, community college. Why would you do that if you can get into a university, you know? But community college is kind of a nice halfway point between high school and an actual university. And here, you know, some people it takes longer than others to get out of here. But while you're here, you still have a bit of, you know, you can make mistakes. You can take whatever classes you want, you know, to a certain extent. But it's a good place to kind of explore your options. We have a really good environment to work in. And I've always found that about all of the teachers here too. That was one thing that surprised me the most when I came to PCC, is that after being at a university where most of the professors are, you know, focused on doing research and then they have to teach, where like the most, you know, the best moments and at that school came from, you know, class with like discussion with TAs. Here it was really kind of amazing. Every single professor that I've taken, it's been amazing, because they're really good at their job, and they all have their different styles, but they all foster a really good environment in the classroom, and it's you know, great for someone like me who've already had these troubles. It just makes it easier for me to. You know, I don't have to worry about, oh, I have that class with the horrible professor. No, I'm most of the time excited to come to class. PCC has been a really great place to help me get back on my feet. So, yeah.
I'm pretty headstrong. I've been here since '09. Most people give up. Most people are like, nah, education's not for me. But I believe that like committing to something is extremely important, because if you don't commit to, if you find something that you're passionate about, and for me, I believe education is extremely valuable here. And so I stayed and committed to this because I want to get a degree to have more options. Like, I don't care if I have to be like 35 to get my degree. I just want to say I have a degree because I want to show my kids that. I want to show my family that I stuck with something, even though that I went through a lot of adversity. Besides dealing with being bipolar and trying to figure out, okay, what classes I need, what classes are important, not trying to like, they're mostly personal challenges for me, like trying to like, you know, okay, gotta manage this and manage that. Like, I don't think I had like any other severe like challenges. Like, definitely getting the right classes. Like, all the teachers I've had have been really good. They've been really, really supportive, really interesting, really engaging. I think they're a lot better than a lot of people at universities, which is really funny because that's what a lot of my university friends say. And it's just, I mean, I don't think I had like any severe challenges a lot, except for math. Actually, math, that was hard. I'm really happy they have that new SLAM thing going on. One of the only other challenges I've ever had is like stating that I've been like a DSP on campus, and like, because I was working in a sector, and I believe one person came up to me and told me he it was like he told me that my disease was not real. So the idea of like some people still not having the proper awareness or education is kind of like a struggle, and it's something that I think people should really look into, and like more campus awareness for it. I mean, they do have like specific days and stuff like that for the campus awareness, but there might maybe need to be a little bit more. I don't know.
My dad has sacrificed a lot in order for us to have an education or achieving our dreams. And growing up in that environment where parents are always working as hard as they can, I think it has impacted me, and it has become like my guideline for life. Yeah. One ways in which I want to contribute to the development of my country is empowering countryside women. In my country, most women I see like mothers and wives, but I don't believe that that's all they can be. They can aim high for themselves, and that's the way I want to empower them. I want to be an engineer to show them, well, if I was able to do this given the right opportunities, you as well can do it with the right opportunities. Being a STEM major, it's already challenging it itself because of its time consuming, but also for a foreign student it can be harder because you are learning, while learning something like chemistry, you are learning two languages at the same time. You have to learn the chemistry language, but at the same time you're also learning the English part of it. So it takes you longer, and sometimes it can be frustrating because what your classmates are getting in like seconds, you're getting it in like hour or minutes. And yeah, it can be that way it has been challenging. And I remember at the beginning I was not able to finish the exam because I had to read a question at least 3 times to understand what it's really expecting, or to make sure that I really have the right formula. If the school can create like a monthly discussion where international students can come together and share their experience, it will be better, because although we come from different cultures, we have something in common, which is we are new here and we are trying to adjust. So it would be better for us to kind of help each other and learn from each other. So I think a monthly discussion about our challenges or about what we did great can be a way for us, for international students, to feel like they have a support system made of people that are somehow like them and face the same challenges and difficulties. We have a great resource center, a great resource here, which is the psychological service, but most of the time, in my case, for example, that's not the first people I turn to when I'm facing some difficulties, especially emotional difficulties. I want to talk to a friend, or I want to talk to a family member. So that's why I think having those monthly discussions with international students can be more helpful, because then it's easier to open up to someone who somehow has been in the same shoes like you, because you have experienced the same thing, and they can understand what you're really going through. Yeah, so in addition to the psych service, I think those monthly discussion also can be good. And even native speaker can come and join the discussion, because sometimes they are just not aware of how difficult it can be for us to try to adjust. I'm really happy to be in a diverse environment like PCC, where I can interact with people from different cultures, see things in a different perspective, not only on my own perspective. So yeah, I'm really grateful for the opportunities I'm given here, and yeah.
I guess I wasn't a good boy in high school, but eventually as time passed by, I realized there was like a lot of wasted time. I realized that I wanted to make a change in the world, that I wanted to contribute. I was tired of hearing people complain, but yet they're in a place that you can't make a difference. So that's when I said I need to go to school, and that's when I wanted to come to Pasadena City College. I definitely want to be a professor, a teacher, work my way up to professor. I don't mind. I want to contribute to high school for like a good 4 years, maybe more, who knows. And then eventually, I would like to be a professor at a university. I would love to be a professor at a medical school. Most people didn't think I was a serious student at first. People, I guess, stereotype. Um, and I guess I had to go through that, but it wasn't a challenge. It was just a shock that I was still didn't take me serious and didn't think I was gonna do it. And honestly, I was intimidated by some teachers, but it was just because I was in the learning process of learning myself and how I function and what I can handle and what I can't. I remember I tried to take a 8 a.m. class because I thought that's what serious people do, morning people, and it was a fail. I accidentally fell asleep in class, and yeah, I felt bad for the teacher because I know it's disrespectful, but it wasn't intentionally, so it was an accident. So I guess getting through that, I guess that was a challenging part, really learning myself and how I learn and homework. I was good in class. I wasn't really good with homework. Why? I don't know. It was hard for me to find, I guess, a tutoring support. Even though there is tutors here, but it was hard to go by my schedule because I'm a late night kind of person who likes to study at night, and everything's closed usually by 5 or 8. Library's open at 11 till 11, but even then, to get tutoring to do independent studying was kind of hard, a challenge. There's colleges that are 24 hours, and that would be kind of nice to see that at a community college. Yeah, at least till 12 midnight. I don't know, I'm just saying. Other than just midterms, so people won't have to like study and impact all that during midterms. They could study beforehand, so that way when midterms comes around, it won't be so stressful. We need people, especially in this world, especially in this country, to take on challenges that they never thought they could win. Or there's like a little saying that they say, if someone starts out from 0 and goes up to 200, their place value is 200. But if someone starts out from negative 100 and they go to 200, their place value is 300. So I guess don't be scared. Like, you can do so much more.
I was born in Indonesia, and then I moved here when I was 10. I attended San Marino High School. I graduated 2006. I attended PCC for about 2 years. And then I went to travel for about a year and a half, and then I joined the military, the Navy, and I was in San Diego for 4 years. I went on a couple of deployments, and I recently was discharged last year, and I decided to come back to Pasadena. The issues that I've had while I was at PCC, they vary year to year because I was very young when I started here. First of all, like safety. I used to take a lot of night classes because I worked full-time, and random men would follow me to my car. That was somewhat scary. Now, as a veteran and as, obviously taken some years off, probably just reintegrating back into the civilian world, and obviously there's that age gap where there are 18-year-olds and I'm 26, and when somebody speaks, just like, oh my God. No, I just have to learn how to work better with people. The Veterans Club helps because the people there are a little bit more mature, so it's easy to talk to them about it, and there's also like resources, to just help you get back on your feet. A lot of veterans are ill-prepared to enter the civilian world, and a lot of times they find themselves homeless or just in really bad situations. And the Veterans Club really helps to assess if there's anything that might be wrong with you, to see if there's anything they could do. When veterans reintegrate back into the civilian world, they feel alone. So it's really hard for them to talk, to say if there's anything wrong. When I guess like what they could do maybe is make it a requirement to just for returning veterans, to be able to use their GI Bill or any sort of financial assistance to at least go see the VRC. I feel like a lot of veterans, they'll look at that and they've had such a bad experience in the military that they don't want any part of it. So when they see a sign that says veterans, they associate that with the military. So maybe just kind of making a checklist or making it a requirement for somebody to go in there and just introduce themselves, that would help a lot. And like basically the veteran will feel like, oh, maybe this is different. It'll give them a different outlook on the resources they have available. I don't give up. I am accountable for my actions, and I learn from experience. And overall, I feel like I'm a very positive person. So I don't ever tell myself that something is impossible until I try it. And then if I try it and I fail, I try again.
Originally coming out of high school, I just didn't feel like college was my thing, and so I went off into the working force. Started off just working at a bank, typical job, and then from there I ended up actually being a train conductor for Amtrak and Metrolink. And that was cool, and then, not to be too graphic, but we had a trespasser strike at Cal State LA in the tunnels. And I guess when I had to go out there and like see if anyone was hurt or if anyone was alive, I had like a realization or something. The kid was like 17, and of course he didn't make it, but I guess that moment I just realized like maybe how like important life was, or like, and just how I should try to get just get certain things done. And like at that moment I just realized, yeah, I should probably go to school. Like it was a weird like realization, epiphany type of moment. Like I needed to do school because I wasn't happy to be a train conductor, but I was just doing it just to do it. And I guess after seeing that happen, it kind of gave me like a value towards life, or made me realize how valuable life is. I wanted to do engineering, and I know PCC offers like the math path, and they have a lot of like higher up classes that a lot of colleges don't offer. Because I was looking at Mission College, and you can only take like 1 or 2 physics classes, and PCC offers 4 physics classes, and like they have the 8-week math classes, to where if I were to try to do it at Mission, I'd be there for almost 3-4 years just trying to get through the math. Challenges faced being a STEM student, I would say, I would just say just the biggest thing is just the classes. There's a lot of classes, and even the physics alone, it'll hold you up for 4 semesters. That's granted you already have your calculus. You know what I mean? Like, so I'd say just getting through the classes is pretty tough. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest obstacle, because like I started Math 131, and had I just followed the normal path of taking 16-week classes, I'd barely be starting my physics now. But fortunately, I did the math path, so I was able to just crank them out real quick. An achievement that I'm proud of while I've been at PCC is getting through the calculus, because I promise you, in high school, I would never in 1,000 years thought I'd make it through calculus. I wouldn't even thought I would make it out of pre-calculus, because I didn't even take pre-calculus in high school. I did geometry and just tapped out from there. So yeah, making it through the calculus, that was crazy, because I didn't think I could do it for sure. Any advice that I would have to offer, I guess, I've taken classes I didn't need. So I'd say the biggest thing is just make sure you know what you're taking. Be on top of your schedule. And like, even though the counselors are here to help you and they give you an ed plan, still be on top of it and make sure, like, know what you're taking. That'd be the biggest thing. Just know what you're taking.
I visited PCC, and I really liked the campus because it's really, really pretty. And then when I went to enroll, everyone was so helpful, and it just seemed like we could get the process moving. The orientation was great too, and there's also a club that I was notified about that basically served undocumented students at PCC, but also it was for allies, so I thought it was great. I don't think I faced too many challenges. One thing is that it is kind of hard to get classes. Of course, that's kind of what everybody says, but I always found a way around it. Another thing is that I lived for the most part while I was attending BCC in Koreatown, so I have to take the train and bus. So it's really nice to have like the school offer TAP. The transportation is sometimes it's a little like if school gets canceled, I'm already on the way, and also since I'm part of like I'm low, like my family's low income. I didn't have access to a computer or internet, and so it was really hard also. Yeah, and let's see. Another challenge, I guess, is that since I am undocumented, it was hard for me to find work, especially when I moved out of my parents' house. It was kind of a rough move. The only reason why I found that kind of challenging, like finding work, is because there was, especially like last winter, I had to look for my own place to live. And so with that comes paying like bills and rent. One job that I do have is I do work at school, but it's mostly in the morning, so I actually have time to study during work time, but I try not to work too much. And now I do have like work authorization. Before I didn't, and so it was now it's a little bit easier. But I don't really know if I would call myself a dreamer. I feel like everyone has dreams, so it's like everyone's a dreamer. But the way I like to be identified is I'm just undocumented. That's it. As to how the challenges of being, I guess, undocumented is that right now there's not really an outlet to citizenship, and so that's one thing. But it's just like the uncertainty that comes with it, that even once you get your degree, like what then? Are you going to be able to practice whatever you want to do? Like you don't know. Right now like some governors have passed like, okay, like they've granted licenses to an undocumented person who went through law school, but that's not for everybody. That hasn't been passed. Like not everyone who's undocumented who finishes school is gonna probably in the future. We're just hoping that we have the chance to, just do what we want to do, like what we've gone to school for. If you see someone who maybe might benefit from a certain piece of information, like, hey, this club is on campus, they serve the undocumented student population here at PCC, and then just by giving them that piece of information, they could find, like me, just like support within that student organization. So that's just like one thing I think, like also just like if you see a student and then something that might benefit them, just tell them, or like reach out to them more. Know the student population you're working with, because we're all different.
It's really hard to say that I've had challenges at PCC because the faculty is so open to help you help yourself that it's really hard to find a challenge. When you're really self-motivated and you're looking for help and you're looking for access to opportunities, and PCC has that. And I try to motivate my classmates all the time, my fellow Lancers, to say PCC has so much to offer you that you don't even know about, but you just have to go out there and search. The professors aren't going to come knocking on your door. You have to ask questions, but they're more than willing to answer them for you. I'm anywhere between 1 to 12 plus years older than a lot of my classmates, and so it took a little adjusting to make friends, and well, I'm a social person, but it still was a little different because you're 18 and I'm not. You know, so it takes a while, but once I got fully into school, and like I said, I joined clubs and have extracurricular activities. I've spoken at 2 conferences already. What is the alternative? I'd be the same age, not speaking at conventions, not being vice president of Psych Club, not being in AGS, and why would I do that? Even when I have a hardship, I kind of just have to push through it because there is no alternative. You know, I did the alternative for 11 years. I tried to make it without an education, you know. I was self-sustaining for 11 years. I lived on my own, paid my own bills, was extremely independent, but I wasn't happy. So I've actually lived the alternative. So now that I have lived the alternative and was unhappy with it, there's no longer an alternative. And so I think my dedication and motivation and my willingness to bring others up with me. I'm not trying to go up by myself. I want my classmates to come up with me, and I try to motivate 18, 25 other non-traditional students that are here. I try to motivate them as well and say, if I can do it, you definitely can do it as well. And I want to show you how if you don't know how. One particular professor, she is so very motivated to say, you're great just how you are. Not, you're great, yeah, that's okay, we'll ignore that part. No, she's very, you're great just how you are. And it feels really good to have that type of open-minded support. And I've gotten it from every single faculty, from my classmates as well. So for me personally, as an LGBT QUIAA member, once again, PCC is just a great place to be. I've never felt uncomfortable in this environment as being such. I don't feel like people look at me as a student who is part of the LGBTQIAA. I feel like they look at me as a student, and it feels great. And that's just how I feel. I'm welcome with open arms and smiles wherever I go, and it feels great. To come back to college after 11 years and have a 4.0 and be in honors classes and AGS, sometimes it's just really surreal. It's just really surreal. And it's just so funny because a lot of my friends used to always say, Sequoia, you're so smart. Why aren't you in school? Why aren't you in school? And I think I just have been my own worst enemy for a really long time. I was scared. I think the fear of failure let me remain complacent. And I no longer have that fear with all the success that I have now. It's only up from here. It's only up.